keep evidencing itself for the next 48 hours or so in strange ways, I'm sure. The ghost of McGangbang's past.
It's not my turn, it's somebody else's.
Alright, let's go for someone up front here, yes.
Okay, with anime, we all know that stories can be affected with while we're all here. So, I want to ask you guys, all of you, what story deeply affected you, whether it was the plot, or being able to act it out, or being able to interact with the fans of it? What story deeply affected you in the series?
Wow, we went from a gangbang to this. There's diversity in this room, I love it.
Oh, his head hurts.
Oh, now I gotta start. Damn. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Apparently I have no heart. I have all these stories kind of running through my head, and I can't really pick one. I mean, okay, I'm gonna go out of the anime realm for this, just because I can't settle on one. But even this is kind of silly, but even X-Men Evolution, there is a connection that I had with Nightcrawler, in that, you know, he's a guy that's kind of just trying to fit in and feels like he has to change or alter what he really is just to fit in with the rest of the people that he's, of course, because he's in school for this, right? That he's trying to interact with, and I mean that's something that we all feel at times, I'm sure. And it's really nice when we can come to, you know, something like this where we can be ourselves and not get ridiculed for it, and you know, quite the opposite. We can embrace it and we get praised for being as zany as we actually are. Okay, next.
Gosh, that's a great question. I can remember the time I actually cried in the booth while recording, and it was a scene from Dragon Ball Z where Videl is fighting Spopovich. And it's this incredibly, unbelievably violent scene, and I just reacted to picture it for a very long period of time, and towards the end, she actually is crying on camera, and I didn't realize till we finished the scene and we're like, okay, done. And I had tears like literally dripping off my face. I was crying myself. There was a scene in Salty Ray where Celica kind of goes crazy and she like knows she's gonna die. And sorry if that's a spoiler. And she films a video for her friends saying her final goodbyes. And that was sad. Okay.
Continuing on sadness, Kamina, that's, need I say more? No, it was touching stuff, really. I mean, the material. I'm not saying like, oh my God, I'm amazing at that performance. It was just like, wow, I was reading it and then I was performing it. It's like, aw, and then the flashback stuff, and then, you know, what he became as a story element, which is very positive and influential, and just like helps just drive the story forward. And you know, at first I was being totally selfish, saying, man, I'm only in it for this long. I wish I was, you know, the lead in the whole story. But honestly, looking at the overall picture of it all, it just like, I think he serves his purpose well. I don't think I would change anything. He comes back and you know, he just touches all the characters in just the right way to get them to progress. You know, so it's like that was really, really touching. Probably the most emotionally connected I felt to something that I've done.
When Lex Luthor's iguana didn't get the crispy cricket.
You said I'm a gangbang.
Oh yes, he choked on a McGangbang. Don't use the words choke and gangbang in the same sentence. I'm sorry, it said unplugged on the schedule, and that to me means something totally different.
It's anime, right?
Yeah. The only thing I've ever sort of personally been involved in, it wasn't until I saw it years later, but for those who follow Dragon Ball Z, I just cried on that one because it hurt. 8 hours screaming, same scream, no breathing. On Beast Wars, Or Beasties, as we had to call it in Canada. The death of Dinobot. The very first convention I ever went to in my life was in Anaheim, California in 1999. And I had been doing cartoons for 10 years then, and I had no idea of any of the impact. It's like, oh, okay, we got this great job, and it's very anonymous. You go to the studio, you do your thing, you go home, you take out the garbage and you mow the lawn. It's like, okay. So not only was it the first time I'd ever had, somebody go like, oh my God, yeah. But people were coming up to me streaming in tears because they had just finished airing Code of the Hero. And, Dinobot knew he was going to die for 5 episodes. I, of course, clueless voice actor that I am, went, and I got to do all sorts of paraphrasing of Shakespeare, and it was wonderful. And, and the rest is silence. But people were so genuine, and it was the first time I was aware of the impact of, what we sort of very levitously, if you'll forgive the complete bastardization of the English language, it's our awesome job and stuff. And that's the first time I saw that, and I've since had a lot of experiences, and actually when I saw the episode myself, it was like, that was a good name. But I've had secondhand experiences through all y'all. Wow, how long have I been down south of the line? Ewans? That's not I've had a lot of people come up to me and approach me, either parents of people whose kids had been through an amazingly horrific time, either emotionally or physically. Some cases of people who were no longer amongst us, but they said how much solace and strength they found in watching what we very lightly take as this terrifically fun job. And the first time somebody expressed that to me, it was overwhelming. And I still, every time somebody will come up and tell me a story like that, or even just going, you know what, you spent 4 hours sitting down talking to somebody that you may not know, but this happened to them, and boom. And one woman said to me once, that is the first time that I've seen my little girl smile in 4 years, and that's something you just don't get every day. So it's not necessarily, work-related, but it's what makes getting a chance to do this ridiculously awesome. Oh, nice finish, Scott. Super ridiculously, literally, totally awesome. But, yeah, so we'll see you guys sometime.
When I was working in New York, I saw Cowboy Bebop, and I thought, oh my God, I want to work with those people. And so I came out to LA, and luckily I met them, and this show came along called Wolf's Rain. Yes! And what was so fantastic about the show was not only was it everybody I wanted to work with, including the entire dubbing studio, and the same composer, and the same animation studio, and the same character designer, but it had this deep mythological story to it. You had 4 wolves searching for paradise, and I got cast as the grumpy wolf. And which was amazing. And what was funny is the director and I, Mary Elizabeth, were totally geeking out over the show during the whole production. We would get the videos from the studio like a couple of weeks before they had to go in and record stuff. And so we'd be watching ahead to see where the story was going. And we were on pins and needles, wondering what was going to happen next in the story. For those of you who know Wolf's Rain, it is not what we shall call an uplifting ending necessarily. And as we got deeper and deeper into it, I could almost feel the sense of, are we really going to go there? Because there's times in anime shows where they start to go someplace that's emotionally dangerous, and then they sort of shy away at the last second and won't actually go there. They won't end it. They won't button it and say, this is how it is, this is how it's ending, and we're done. And Wolf's Rain was going there, and Mary Elizabeth was actually coming to me and asking me questions, because how do you talk about paradise? How do you deal with this notion that everything, in order to reach paradise, you have to sort of leave everything behind? Everything behind. Everything behind, right? How do we get there? How do we deal with this? And there was this final scene, because Sume sort of has one of he has a couple of nice scenes at the end of that, and one is to the Runt, where he has a little speech to Toboe, who's been his friend the whole time. And we came in to record that, and Mary Elizabeth looked at me and said, this is going to be tough. I said, I will stay here as long as it takes to get this right. And we recorded the whole scene, and we were done. And the biggest compliment I got was from the producer later. He said they were watching down the entire mix, and that scene brought him to tears. that he called me afterwards and says, "You just have to know, that scene brought me to tears." And I said, "Good." I think. Yes, good. Because that story to me is when I talk about anime, when I discuss the idea of freedom in storytelling, when I talk about meaning, watching a show and having it mean something, being able to distill wisdom from it, to say, this speaks to me. James Joyce would call it aesthetic arrest, where you just look at something and go, because it's true. That's the freedom I'm going for. To be a part of a show like that is the most satisfying thing to me. So Wolf's Rain also brought me to tears by the end of it. Even though I actually think, while it looks very depressing, I actually think the very end of it is quite uplifting. Most people don't quite understand the very ending of the show, but come down to mythology lectures and I'll explain it to you. But I think the fact that it stayed true to itself. It stayed true to itself and it followed the course of what it was going through. The world is coming to an end, and the world is coming to an end. And the world is going to come to an end, and it ends, you know, and that's it. And then it's going to be reborn, and something else is going to happen. And I really have the greatest admiration and satisfaction for that kind of story. I found that actually the end of the first season of Sailor Moon has a similar sort of thing, where the world is going to end and the world is going to end. And I actually feel that that Sailor Moon and Wolf's Rain actually share a lot of similarities there. So yeah, that kind of power of meaning and storytelling is what has always attracted me to anime.
We had almost exactly the same experience in Strawberry Shortcake. Good God, there's more hands than there are us. And they're not all raised in friendship.
One more question. Have you cried during the Christmas shoots? The song.
Like a blubbering baby, yes. I'm a bit emotional sometimes.
Chrispin, what was the hardest part about doing I Buy Me Strawberry Eggs?
I think one of the hardest parts of doing I Buy Me Strawberry Eggs, which is a show, one of the first shows the second show I directed as a voice director. One of the challenges of that show was, the premise of the show is that a young gym teacher wants to get employed at a school, but they won't employ male teachers because they don't think male teachers are capable of love, that they can't be nurturing. This greatly offends this young man, so he cross-dresses as a woman to get hired. And wackiness ensues. But I think one of the hard things about it was actually playing the main character and directing. I don't like doing that, which is ironic because I've done it on every show I've directed, which is sort of frustrating. But I rationalized it by saying most of the time he's the woman. And when he's a woman, he wears this little device on his throat, so there's a woman playing him, female voice actors. So I rationalized it by saying, well, I only have to do a couple lines as me, and then she takes over and I'll just direct her. But that's frankly one of the biggest challenges. It was one of the biggest challenges in Scrapped Princess when I played one of the main characters, Shannon, and directed the show. I didn't want to, but I looked at the producers and I said, if I wasn't directing the show, who would you cast as Shannon? They said, you. I said, okay, then that's what the show needs, and we'll find a way to make it work, because I don't want to cast somebody who doesn't fit the part right. And that's one of my big things as an actor. I hate being miscast. Being miscast as an actor is the worst situation to be in, because it doesn't matter how good an actor you are, you can never win. You can never win, you know? Like, I will never be Gandalf. You gotta give me 30 years. You know, like, it's not gonna happen now. And so no matter how good an actor I am, I can't play Gandalf right now. And so that's always my bugaboo. So then the problem is finding a way to both play the character and direct yourself and make it all work without, like, becoming navel-gazing and losing your mind. Huh?
Gandalf in training.
I don't think Gandalf was ever young. Like, I can imagine a young Merlin, but I can't imagine a young Gandalf. He's like a Maya, he's a servant of the Valar, he's been around forever. Is it my turn?
That's Terry's show.
TARDIS lady! You sexy bestial.
This is for both you, Chrispin, and Kyle. You both do some coaching with voice acting and acting in general. What do you find the thing your students struggle the most with?
Beyond just the fact that you have to act, which means that you have to play pretend so believably we want to pay you. Right? That's the challenge. You're going to play pretend so believably we want to pay you to do it. Beyond that obvious challenge, which can take a while to learn how to do that well, most of my students come and think that voice acting is about funny voices, that it's about doing funny things, that it's not about being them. They don't understand that what we want is them. It's that you have to lead with your voice. Your voice is already unique, and what we want is to hear that. If you've ever heard Tom Kenny speak, the guy who plays SpongeBob, SpongeBob is not far from his normal voice, you know? And you listen to me speak, and you'll hear the different characters, you know, oh, he just sounded like Alucard, or oh, he just sounded like... We want to lead with that. Many times my students come and they think that they're not worth something, and so they think that they will become worth something by doing all these funny character voices, and I go, oh no, that's putting a lot of sauce on a hamburger, you know, like, and it's not going to help it. Like, what we have to do is start with you. We have to start with where you are and what your voice is good at and work with the acting, and then you can start expanding and doing silly voices. But until, you know, you believe that you are valuable as an artist, that you have something to contribute to the artistry, then we got nothing. If it's just about, oh, I can do this funny voice, I go, well, we've already got plenty of people who can do funny voices. No one's looking for someone who can do a funny voice. What we're looking for are people who can play this character well.
Right, I see a lot of people that, I do Skype sessions, so I get people, I'm aiming at beginners specifically so they can get a sense of what we go through when we audition or in a session, what the expectations are for an actor. I don't profess to teach acting. I can't turn someone into an actor, so I consider myself more a motivational coach, saying go forth, go sign up for a class, go take Chrispin's class, go take, you know, people out there who really know acting and can do all that stuff. What I'm trying to do is use my experience in the booth to help people have a clearer understanding of what they're up against, so that they'll see firsthand pretty quickly. It's like, all right, here's the copy, read it over, okay, and now perform it. It's pretty much at that pace for all of us when we hop in the booth. We don't get time to rehearse it, really. It's just kind of get in there and go. That's why that sense of improv is so important. The ability to cold read is so important. Getting over those stumblies and the nervousness and the butterflies in your stomach. I've never performed in public before, but I want to really be a voice actor. Like, you've got to overcome those obstacles in baby steps and everything. That's always the thing. But I'm aiming specifically at beginners, so I'm trying to give them the sense of confidence they need to go forth and take acting class, get involved in their drama class at school, take radio announcing, do something at their college station or whatnot, and then decide if that, you know, want to go down that sort of path.
Can I throw in a little?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it's a little reiteration, but it's something that I stress when I'm teaching in Canada, is, you know, I get a lot of people coming going, I do all these voices. And my approach to it is a little different. It's a little more because I'm kind of known for being able to go, you know, and play vocally and acrobatically. But I say, you know, you go voice actor, the two words. By far the more important of the two is that one. If you can't come into it as an actor, you can't do this. What I cite as an example all the time, and again, the latest and greatest of all of us, Mel Blanc, never once created a voice. You know, he was the man of 1,000 voices. Well, he never created a voice. He always created characters. And a character is so much different than a voice. So even though my therapist tells me that rabbits don't talk, they do. You know, it is the soul of the character. There are people that are doing those roles now, and you know, I'm one of them, on maybe Looney Tunes, but what is missing oftentimes is the soul of the character. You know, sorry if I'm offending anybody, but you know, the new Kermit sounds like Kermit, but it ain't Kermit. Because they're not bringing what's required to make it real to it. Even if it is, you know, a talking dust mote or a pan-dimensional goat being or whatever, it has to have a place in reality, no matter how far-fetched and silly it is. That was my serious one. Please.
All right, we do have to wrap up, so let's...
What?
Yeah, well, it's actually, we're at 2 o'clock, or it's past 2 o'clock.
Can we do a quick lightning round?
What?
Yeah, that's true. We start we got 10 more minutes here. This lightning round, it's going to be like fast questions, fast answers. It's just going to be boom, because you just said me.
Okay. I actually want to say I really appreciate you guys because I'm 32 years old and I've been probably, Sailor Moon was it for me when you said it. I was in middle school and getting up before I go to school and watching that.
If you do not cry at the end of Sailor Moon, you have no heart.
I know. This is the one And over the years, people have understood, like, you're getting older, why are you still watching TV? It's not cartoons. But when I'm at work, doing shifts and working mental health, doing a lot of stuff, I can take an hour to go watch a series, watch something, and it really makes me be able to go through the day, and I really appreciate you guys. And it's up, I really appreciate you guys a lot, and I just want to say that.
Well, thank you.
All right, we have this right over here. You've been so patient.
Aw. Hi. Kyle, how did you get the voice of Kiba from Naruto?
Quite literally, it's just my one teenage voice, which is Gohan. So do I repeat myself? Yes. Gohan is pretty much, I'm sorry, Kiba is pretty much Gohan, see? It's just, he's obviously different character. It's a different thing. I've taken it to a different place. It's the same voice, but I can make it stand out by, well, he comes from a different background, he's different, he's more feral and wild and everything, and Gohan's just kind of nerdy.
To reiterate what Scott said, I play both Amon in Witch Hunter Robin and Alex Rowe in Last Exile. Both are dark, brooding dudes, but one's pissed about a girl and one's pissed about his mom. Right? And I had to know that in order to play those characters, or otherwise they would have sounded exactly the same. They have to have a different psychological reality behind them, or you won't believe what they're on about.
Right.
There's actually only 3 voices in the world, and I'm doing a bunch of research right now to track down the origins of all the 3 primary colors. So, no matter what we tell you about, oh my god, I can do 4,000 voices, there's only 3. Okay, continue the lightning round because we're gonna go super fast. You with Mjolnir.
Yes, do any of you feel that with all the different voices you have, are they kind of like multiple personalities for you guys?
You got no idea how busy it is on the inside of my head. We spend a lot of time in small padded rooms screaming. The difference is we get paid for it. Yay!
What are some of the current things that you guys are doing? I remember you said you were doing the nymph, but what other current things are you guys working on now? I know you're on Soul Calibur 5, right?
No.
Really? Sacred?
No.
No. That's awkward.
Diablo 3.
Ah.
Yeah, Dungeon Siege 3, Resistance 3, lots of 3s this year.
Am I looking them?
The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, the movie.
Yay!
Hopefully the movie will be released soon. And obviously there's more Durarara that's been released. Hopefully we'll do some more of that too. Lots of video games.
I'm working on, was it video?
Sorry, and Young Justice, obviously.
League of Super Evil, which is one of the few shows I've ever worked on that I'm going to shamelessly promote because I think it's funny as hell. We're just finishing up a season of that. Johnny Test for Warner Brothers is still going. We just working right now on one called Hero 108, which I think is Disney, isn't it?
Sure.
Say yes. It sounds impressive.
What he said.
Yeah. There's, of course, we can't ever talk about something that is being worked on that involves green people and people in diapers with turbans, but that's perhaps in the works too. That involves a lot less screaming than the original version did, we'll just say that. Video games all over the place. Strawberry Shortcake. Gotta love it, keeps coming back. My Little Pony, working on that too. And a bunch of video games, including one that looks really cool that I, of course, can't talk about.
Curse those non-disclosure agreements. Bleach, Naruto, a bunch of games. Basically it.
Same thing, I'm not going to be able to talk about too terribly much, but yeah, coming out soon, Heaven's Lost Property, and I voiced them. Working on a bunch of video games. Like I said, if you have a Nintendo DS, go get the new Squinkies game, it's super cute. And I do a lot of other stuff outside of anime. I do a lot of commercial and narration. I also voice, if you have young children or you know young children that read Highlights magazine, I do audio versions of the magazines, and you can find those all over the internet. And yeah, so just staying busy, which is awesome.
I got nothing. Actually, I just finished working on a really cool video game that I'm not going to be able to talk about until 2012, and it's killing me. We got in right at the early stages of the production, so I got nothing to say, but it's a brand new character for me, and I'm pretty excited about this game. But I have to wait until forever.
Wait, turn off our cameras.
You were on Hero though.
What's that?
You were on Hero.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
okay, and there's a couple other things. There's still like, there's an anime series that I wrapped up a while back, but it still hasn't been released, and until they actually do something with it, I can't say anything about it. Like, I don't know. Boo.